Putting him in.
3, 4 lights, 5 lights. And it's going, Malaysia. Beautiful start by Michael Schumacher. Rubens Barrichello not so good. Coming up fast is Ralf Schumacher. Behind him is Jarno Trulli cutting through on the inside. Barrichello blocks him off, and Barrichello and up into second place, but now spinning it goes Ralf Schumacher. Is anybody going to hit him? Ralf Schumacher made a terrific start, but he's lost it. Spins the car round again, and coming up behind him, one of the Jaguars. All his terrific work at the start has been completely nullified, and up into third position in the Jordan comes Jarno Trulli, followed by
Coulthard. That was Coulthard. He had an amazing first corner.
8th position.
Yeah, Coulthard managed to sneak past Hakkinen in that first corner while he was watching Ralf spinning out of contention. And, who have we got here?
That's
Raikkonen, it looked like to me. I think that was Raikkonen.
It was definitely the Sauber, and it was definitely Raikkonen, yep. So, well, Michael Schumacher leads. But 2 Ferraris up front in Malaysia. And look at the gap between them, and look at the gap even more importantly between Jarno Trulli and David Coulthard after that sensational start. And Heinz-Harald Frentzen is there in 5th position in the Jordan, followed by one of the Arrows. How on earth did that get there, and who is it?
Verstappen.
It's got to be Verstappen, because Bernoldi was right at the... Verstappen must have done an absolutely sensational start, because he's up into 6th position and he started in 18th place.
Let me do a quick 1 to 10, Mary, because the changes are amazing in these first couple of laps of the Grand Prix. One aborted and now just coming over the line to complete their first flying lap. It's Michael Schumacher from Rubens Barrichello by 1.3 seconds. Jarno Trulli, David Coulthard in 4th, Frentzen in the 2nd, Jordan 5th, Jos Verstappen, Jacques Villeneuve 7th, Mika Hakkinen down to 8th, so the 2 McLarens have swapped places effectively. Hannes 9th and Heidfeld 10th. It's on your screen now, the second half of that of the motor race.
1.5 seconds, and Ralf Schumacher is starting to storm up through the field. He is currently at the end of the previous lap in 20th position. Barrichello closing a bit on Michael Schumacher as they go through the bends there, with Jarno Trulli already on lap 3, 5 seconds behind Michael Schumacher. David Coulthard is less than a second behind Jarno Trulli. So it's Ferrari. They're in the grid order that they started, and Louise Goodman has got news.
Unbelievable drama at the start of this race, Murray, and just to let you know, there may be a bit more to come. I'm standing out at the back of the garages. It's starting to rain.
Well, look at that! Michael Schumacher off, and is he out of the race? He's kept an absolute roar from the crowd. Barrichello goes into the lead. He's off. Amazing, both the Ferraris off. And Jarno Trulli leads the Malaysian Grand Prix as it starts to the rain. What amazing!
And I haven't seen Coulthard behind him, so did all 3 of them go off? So yes.
Wet, you think? Wet?
Well, it must be raining. Louise just pointed out, now Coulthard is there, I missed him. And both Ferraris caught out on what must be a slightly damp corner.
One of them 3rd, it must be surely Michael Schumacher who regained the circuit first. We'll know in a moment. We're on lap 3 out of 55 in this incredible race already, as coming towards us from Italy in the Jordan Honda. The Honda engine now leading a Grand Prix for the first time since they've come back into Formula One. And look at the rain pouring down. And when it rains in Malaysia, believe me, it comes down not by the bucketful, but by the ocean full. They're having to slow right off. And here's a replay of Schumacher in the lead and Barrichello behind him.
I believe they went off probably initially on some oil from Panis's blown up BAR Honda. One Ferrari following the other through the gravel traps. That's caused a few heart attacks back in Maranello, but they both just got away with it, and now it's raining hard. They'll have to come in for wets at the end of this lap, I believe.
And you will have seen from that shot that it wasn't Schumacher that regained the track first, it was Barrichello up into 3rd position with Heinz-Harald Frentzen, and in they come for green tyres, James Allen.
Well, there's some cars coming in, Murray. That was the Ferrari team, James.
Blinder here. Benetton have played an absolute blinder. They saw the problem. It's absolutely bucketing it down here. Fisichella got service first. Button got service second. Also one of the Minardis, but astonishingly, nobody else came in.
Safety cars out. I'm not surprised. because look at this, the conditions are impossible.
Two Jaguars line astern in the pits then, so the Jaguars in together. The Ferraris went around one more time. That's not got a lot of groove in that wet they're thinking of putting on there. And you're watching Fisichella, who's out now on wet tyres, but those that carried on past the pits will lose out quite heavily here. Depends just when this safety car picks up the pack. That's picked up Button, hasn't it?
It's a Button behind it. Now we're going to wait for the safety car to come round to try to tell you logically and clearly about what is happening here. But you've heard the word monsoon, and that's Nick Heidfeld sitting in the Sauber, the man who had such a superb race in Australia, finishing in 4th position. Look at his rear wheel spinning. He's beached the car. The ride height in these Formula One cars, the distance between the ground and the bottom of the car is minimal, and he's beached it somewhere, and James Allen has got more news for us.
Well, the $10 million question now, of course, for these teams is who do they bring in first? Who do they serve first? Particularly McLaren. We've got two equal drivers. Who's going to get the tyres first? Is it going to be Hakkinen or Coulthard? From the body language of Ron Dennis, it's going to be Hakkinen, would you believe?
James Trulli is off. Jarno Trulli has gone off the track. You've just seen him. He was the man who was leading the race when the rain started coming down.
Well, this has surprised everybody. I did a scan, and they're not able to get round on their slicks. They're obviously aquaplaning off the road. I think Fisichella's the one who's going to gain most out of this. I believe he's ahead of the safety car and will come back round behind the pack. Cars off everywhere.
Bernardi's gone off.
I did a scan, Murray, of all of the major teams, and they all thought either no rain or a tiny bit of rain this afternoon, and that's why everybody has been so surprised. No sign. We got one Ferrari in the pit then, and Michael Schumacher is having to wait to see Barrichello serviced first. Michael Schumacher is parked up line astern behind the Ferrari of Barrichello.
And there is Montoya well and truly off the track in the Williams. You've seen Rubens Barrichello in the Ferrari there with Michael Schumacher, both of them together. Now they're fitting the Bridgestone monsoon tyres, I should think.
Coulthard left the pit first. James, what can you tell us?
Absolutely right. This looks just played perfectly into the hands of McLaren. It's a gift from heaven, and I maligned the McLaren team, and particularly Ron Dennis. He was very clever. He brought Coulthard in. Straight away he was out, and then Hakkinen was coming straight in afterwards. Neither car lost any time in that, and they are in an incredibly strong position. Ferrari on the back foot.
What on earth's going on down at Ferrari, James? They still haven't got any tyres on Barrichello's car. This looks like we had back in Nürburgring a year or so back, where they just do not appear to have any tyres ready.
Well, look at this. This is a powerboat race. It's not a Formula One car race. As out of the pits after 1 minute and 12 seconds goes Rubens Barrichello.
A big pile of gravel, Murray, where Barrichello was parked, so they were cleaning out the side pods, and I assume they're going to have to do the same to Michael Schumacher. The only saving grace here for Ferrari is that under the safety car conditions, they will catch the back of the pack up without too much difficulty.
One of my cliches is anything can happen in Formula One, and it usually does, but challenging Frentzen.
Frentzen asleep there, let Coulthard go, and he's got Verstappen then able, not close enough to have a look up the inside, but Coulthard caught them all sleeping, particularly Frentzen.
So a tight match between Trulli and Frentzen, Verstappen and Hakkinen, with Jarno Trulli in the second Jordan closing up on all of them, and John Alesi, where is he? There's a big gap there. There is the Prost, and John Alesi has got Giancarlo Fisichella's Benetton right behind him. I would expect Alesi to be able to pull away, and look at Jos Verstappen swarming all over Heinz-Harald Frentzen's Jordan. This is Jos Verstappen's opportunity. Jos the boss from Holland, and he knows it. He's got the Tech engine in the car, and it's down on power compared with the others, but that won't harm it nearly as much in these wet conditions as he would in the dry.
Well, they're into the great unknown at the moment. We know there's oil on the track. We know there must be a lot of gravel. The track is sort of 25% dry, and 75% wet or very wet, and Hakkinen now having a good look up the inside of Verstappen into turn 9. Hakkinen looking comfortable. Two McLarens working better in these conditions.
Just before I came up to the commentary box, Mika Hakkinen came up to me and he said, "Have a nice afternoon," and I said the same to you. It's already turning out to be a lot nicer than he might have expected. In 4th place and challenging Jos Verstappen for 3rd, Heinz-Harald Frentzen for 2nd, as David Coulthard edges away a bit in the lead McLaren, with Alesi still 6th, Fisichella 7th, and Verstappen having a real go at Heinz-Harald Frentzen as we look through the ball of spray, and Jos Verstappen goes through at the hairpin. Terrific bit of driving. Jos Verstappen 2nd place, Heinz-Harald Frentzen displaced.
Well, Verstappen overtook Coulthard in the rain in the warm-up there, so if he can now close that gap to Coulthard, Verstappen may well be able to lead this motor race. So 2.8 seconds down then, Verstappen over the leader Coulthard, and at the back, towards the back of the field, 8th and 9th now are the two Ferraris, just making their way past. They have passed the two Benettons, so they're on their way through the field.
Terrific performance, not only by Verstappen but by the whole Arrows team. It's a new car after last year. Mike Coughlin, the designer of Tom Walkinshaw's team, has done a superb job with his people. They've got a lot of new people there, and they're certainly making the most of them all, because Heinz-Harald Frentzen is dropping back. Mika Hakkinen doesn't seem to be able to do anything about them at the present moment, and Ralf Schumacher is up into 5th position in the Williams, and we believe that the Michelin wet tyre is particularly good, and the gap between Ralf Schumacher, who is 5th, and Hakkinen, who is 4th, is a mere 2.4 seconds and getting smaller. Look, there's the proof. Verstappen 2nd, Frentzen 3rd, Hakkinen going through and taking that 3rd position. So Frentzen has lost 3 places. He's lost 2nd place to 2 places. He's lost 2nd place to Jos Verstappen. Now he's lost 3rd place to Mika Hakkinen. And McLaren are 1st and 3rd. Who would have thought this could have happened half an hour ago?
And Michael Schumacher has passed Rubens Barrichello somewhere out on the track. So as James Allen predicted, Michael may well be on a lighter fuel load. They would have had a chance to top it up in that pit stop, try to get him, but all of those windows that they've so carefully planned as to when to come in are pretty much out of the window, so to speak. They're going to have to recalculate. And who was that shaping up to have a good look at the back? And it was... must have been
Schumacher. Schumacher's coming through. Ralf Schumacher taking it. Surely Frentzen must have a problem. He's now lost yet another place as Ralf Schumacher storms through. Now here are the first 10. Coulthard leads, Verstappen 2nd, Hakkinen 3rd, Ralf Schumacher is up to 4th. There he is. Frentzen down to 5th. Michael Schumacher is 6th. Michael Schumacher in the Ferrari up into 6th position. Ahead of Rubens Barrichello. 8th is Trulli, 9th is Fisichella, Jenson Button in the 2nd, Benetton is 10th. Then it's Alesi, Berti, Mazzacani, Marquez and Alonso. Both the European Minardis still running.
Yeah, so Michael Schumacher over a second faster than anybody else on the racetrack last time around. So Schumacher, as ever, very well hooked up and already shaping up to go right round the outside of Frentzen. That's incredible. Into turn 12, and just amazing. Just drove right around the outside of him. So Schumacher then up to 5th place.
And look at the way Ralf Schumacher is harrying Mika Hakkinen as his brother Michael comes up behind him. The battle of the brothers is beginning, and David Coulthard leads by about 3 seconds as Michael Schumacher visibly closes on his brother, and Rubens Barrichello goes past Heinz-Harald Frentzen. So Frentzen, who had a problem, you remember, on the original start when he had to tour around, may have a that's Jenson Button in trouble, and he's touring. So Heinz-Harald Frentzen may well have a repetition of whatever the problem was.
Thought it looked like Button was recovering from a spin actually, but Hakkinen then under a lot of pressure from Michael Schumacher. We don't know the fuel loads at the moment. They may have changed. Everybody would have topped up with fuel without doubt while they were putting the wets on, so they should be able to go at least 35 to 40 laps well into that sort of zone. And Hakkinen having to defend his line, but it's no good. Schumacher's gone right around the outside for the 2nd time in 2 laps of another car. Michael running a little bit wide there, but no problem for him, and Schumacher on the rampage.
And there are people who say that Michael Schumacher is not a superstar. You are seeing the evidence before your very eyes as he drives round the outside of double world champion Mika Häkkinen, 3 times world champion Michael Schumacher. So it's Coulthard leading and Verstappen is still in second place.
I wonder if Michael Schumacher's on those intermediate tyres, because he's now some 3 seconds faster than most of the other runners, and 2 seconds faster than absolutely everybody. Coulthard up front on lap 14 at the moment with a 2.1 second lead. But
region, and the 2 stoppers, who I believe Michael Schumacher is one of them. I believe Coulthard's on a 1 stopper. So Michael Schumacher on a 2 stopper will come in around about lap 29 to 30, something along those lines.
And the Ferraris are right up with the McLaren now. You're looking at Mika Häkkinen in 4th position, and look how close it is between the Ferrari and the McLaren. And the McLaren it's Rubens Barrichello there battling against Mika Häkkinen, and he's going, and he does it. Rubens Barrichello passes Mika Häkkinen just as his teammate Michael Schumacher did, except that Michael Schumacher did it on the outside, Rubens Barrichello did it on the inside, and now Ralf Schumacher is closing up in the Williams BMW on Mika Häkkinen. Knowing Mika and the cars,
Michael now
suspecting
4.4 seconds quicker than the race leader on the previous lap. They must be on different tyres.
Here he goes, Verstappen second, right behind him, the Ferrari of 3 times world champion Michael Schumacher. As we look down on the first 3, David Coulthard, Jos Verstappen, and Michael Schumacher is going to go round Jos Verstappen. Goes through on the inside. Is Verstappen going to yield and let him through? No, he is not. And the rain is coming down again. Barrichello in 4th position, Mika Häkkinen in 5th position, Ralf Schumacher is 6th, Frentzen is 7th, Trulli is 8th, Fisichella is 9th, Luciano Berti in the only Jaguar is in 10th position, and Michael Schumacher has another look at and another go at Jos Verstappen, and still he can't get past. Verstappen is entitled to take the racing line where he wants it to be, and he is doing it fairly and squarely.
Yes, the wetter part of the track. Now Michael's got the run up the inside into 9, and it begins to amount of time, I would imagine.
And Michael Schumacher shaking the head of the Ferrari, or the Ferrari shaking its own head, as the reigning world champion closes up on David Coulthard. Shortly, we think, to take the lead. David Coulthard looks at his mirrors. Michael Schumacher dives out from behind his wing, gets through on the inside. No, as they come up to the left-hander, turn 15 at the end of the lap. This is the end of lap 15 in this 55-lap race. 40 laps still to go, and a lot of drama still to come. And now Michael Schumacher goes for it as they come down to turn 1, and then the left-hander at turn 2 and through.
Yeah, you can see the pattern on the tyres. Schumacher on different tyres, no doubt about it. It's clear to see from the pattern along the top, and of course the speed through these dry corners. So Ferrari then, whilst it took a long time to find any tyres, at least they put the right ones on.
They found the right ones
when they did.
Germany, although he currently lives in Switzerland, is on his victorious way in the Ferrari. You're looking at him now. He's driven a quite superb race, and I seem to be saying this all the time these days, as I do about everybody at Ferrari. They are definitely not in the ascendancy. They are on the top at the moment. They fought so hard and so long to stay ahead, get ahead of McLaren. They got ahead in the Constructors' Championship the year before last. They won both the drivers and the constructors last year. This is going to be Michael Schumacher's 6th successive win. He won the last 4 races of the year 2000. He's going to have won the first 2 races of 2001. He is looking increasingly invincible, but as I've said many times before, anything can change in Formula One. McLaren will fight hard to close the gap between themselves and Ferrari. They have an enormous amount of pride, but Michael Schumacher is the man at the present moment. He's not very far off from the closing corners of the 3rd Malaysian Grand Prix, the 3rd time we've been here in 15 months to this quite magnificent facility, undoubtedly the best in the world. And Michael Schumacher is coming up now to the last corner to win again in Malaysia, to take 10 Drivers' World Championship points. It's not who's going to win, Michael Schumacher. It's not who's going to be second, Rubens Barrichello. It's not who is going to be third, David Coulthard. It's not even who is going to be fourth, Heinz-Harald Frentzen, as Michael Schumacher wins in Malaysia. The question is, who is going to be fifth? Is he